I know that as we go through this transformation journey and this awakening in our lives and learning about how powerful we are and all these extraordinary things going on, there's so much elevation that takes place in our lives. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we don't still experience challenges. It doesn't always mean that suddenly everything is just easy street. You know, we're living in human reality, things still come up. And I know because I experience it myself too. But one of the things that's really helped me to maintain a really powerful focus and trajectory in my life that just pays off more and more every single day is my ability to go where the answers are. The answers that we're looking for, that the solution to all of our problems really does lie within us. Now, you've probably heard this before. I'm nearly certain that if you're here seeing this video, you've heard it said somewhere along the lines that everything that you've been looking for is within you, that everything you could possibly need is within you. But that's a nice quote, but it doesn't necessarily really help us take the key and unlock and open the door to what that realization means, right? How do we even access within us? And what's in there that's gonna help us? So I hope in this video that there's something in what I'm about to share with you that helps you to elevate your life in some way that's unique and special for you. Well, it's true that you are the one with the key. That in any situation, no matter what challenge is happening in your life, you are always the one who has the key to the door. The way that we open that door is by expanding our consciousness, expanding our perspective, how much we are actually seeing of what's going on. Now, this actually isn't confusing, it's very simple. And here's an example that I come up with to hopefully help you to see how simple it really is. Imagine that you've got a camera lens, just like this, all right? This is my camera lens. And all you can see is just these food stains and this muck on this white background. Now, what you're seeing in that camera lens is one single perspective on reality. It's one perspective that consciousness has. So if you were looking at the picture that I took from that perspective of these stains, you would probably see a mess. It would probably gross you out a little bit. It would be filthy. And you'd probably start to think of all these disgusting things like a trash can or whatever, because that's what it would remind you of. So that's your perspective. Now imagine that the camera starts to pull back just a little bit. And as the camera pulls back, you see that, oh, it's not just a white background with stains. What we're looking at is a stove top. And you can now see that someone is standing there cooking dinner and that those stains are just spaghetti sauce that splashed out while they were cooking. And as you keep pulling back, you see that the vegetables are being chopped on the counter. You pull back, you get this bigger scene that we're in actually a very clean, very nice house. And there's a very happy and joyful family cooking dinner. So the fact is that as we pull back, as we shift our focus just a little bit, what happens is we literally get more information, more facts, a clearer perspective of what's going on. Now, what we need to realize is that on a human level, what a lot of us are doing, and it's not our fault, we just haven't really realized, we haven't really had lots of examples to show us that there's a higher possibility. But if you're here today, I know for a fact that you know that that higher possibility exists. And I would bet a lot actually, that you tune into that perspective often, that you feel an elevated consciousness and a very high vibration often in your life. Now what I hope we can do is realize how to actually maintain that and to expand it just by sheer command, just by willpower, that it's actually really easy. It's not a huge challenge. So what's ending up happening is that life on the human level, what a lot of us are doing is we're zoomed in with our camera lens on one specific way of thinking, one specific lifestyle or way of living our lives. Wake up, you go to work, come home, you watch a movie, you go to bed, you wake up, you go to work, you come home, you watch a movie. So what we're looking at is we're really zoomed in on a specific lifestyle, a specific way of thinking, a specific belief system. And what a lot of us are missing is that there's actually, if you just pulled back the focus a little bit, there's a much bigger picture. There's a much bigger dance happening in our reality. For example, if you were super zoomed in on some kind of belief or idea that people are evil or are like just toxic, horrible, I know a lot of people feel that way and have a hard time with people as a general species. And it's understandable because you can take your camera and zoom in and focus on people doing horrible things to each other or not caring about each other. You can take your camera focus and zoom in on this one perspective that every time you get in your car on the freeway, some jerk cuts you off, right? So this is what we're doing in a lot of ways. We're zooming in on a specific perspective. But again, as you pull that camera lens back, you can see the clearer picture that that person that cut you off, their boss told them that if they're late to work one more time, they're fired, and their whole family's depending on them. And they feel bad about it. They feel like a total dick that just cut you off, but they're like, I have to do this, right? Or maybe you see that that person that's bullying you at school goes home and they're being bullied, and that they don't understand how to communicate with themselves properly, and they're really just asking for help. Now, what I'm not necessarily suggesting is we just excuse bad behavior in life. What I'm trying to do is give you guys some examples of how our consciousness can expand when we pull back and look at what's going on here a little bit bigger, right? The human species is very specifically focused on, zoomed in on what do we really cherish as a species, as a collective society. We cherish breakthroughs, right? We cherish making more and more and more and advancing our civilization, right? And we can see that because people who have big discoveries that advance civilization, they're famous, they get a lot of money, we all want to be like them. So this is what our society is really zoomed in on. But if our society pulled back a little bit, then we might see the ecosystems of nature a little bit better. We might see our place in this universe as a little bit more mystifying and special, that there's this incredible conscious power that moves through everything and that we're all connected, right? And a lot of people do see that. But why do they see that? Because they've pulled their camera lens back. So how does this relate to actually tuning into the power within us? The only reason we're ever out of tune with the power that's within us, the only reason we're ever out of tune with our intuition, with our clarity, with enlightenment, the only reason ever is because we have accidentally taken our camera lens and zoomed in on one specific thing. A challenge in a relationship, our work, some kind of goal that we have just obsessively, fanatically zoomed in on. And the thing is that when we take our camera lens and we zoom in on something really intensely, that actually, I've learned, gives us a lot of power. If you take that focus and you put it on a goal, for example, and you are laser honed in on it, then you won't be distracted by all the other stuff going on because you don't even see it. You're just that focused on your goal. And that does give you the ability to achieve more. People who have that kind of focus and the ability to zoom in on things are high achievers. However, when we feel disconnected from our power, when we feel resistance in our life or stress or challenges come up, it's our responsibility in those moments to remember all that's happened is that you're really zoomed in on something. You're really honed in on something. And that's a power that humans have. And I love it. I'm a very focused person myself. I'm extremely focused on what I do here with you guys. And that focus gives me the ability to move through life. And when all this other stuff is happening around me, I don't get distracted because I'm that focused. But when I do feel fear in my life, which I do, by the way, I don't have zero fears. I feel fear sometimes. I feel kind of not well. Sometimes I feel pain in my life. Sometimes I'm going through something too, just like anybody else out there. And if anybody tells you that they're not experiencing that, then I don't think they're living human life. They're probably living in some cave meditating 24/7 and aren't really taking part in this bigger experience happening. And I don't mean any offense to them. I'm just trying to say, you don't have to separate yourself from human reality. You don't have to separate yourself from the joys of being a person and all the social things we can do and all the goals we can work on and our whole collective. I mean, there's some exciting stuff going on. You don't have to cut yourself off from that stuff to feel peace in your life. You just have to know that the moment you recognize you don't feel peace, you're too honed in on something and you're not seeing the bigger picture. So all you have to do is just back up a little bit and zoom out. And you'll start to see from a higher level of consciousness, right? From this place, from this analogy I'm sharing with you, you could see when you zoom out of a challenge that you're experiencing at work, for example, wow, I was super stressed out and bummed about this, and it was really getting to me. But now that I'm not so zoomed in on it and I pulled back, I can see that I have this beautiful, loving family and friends. I can see I've got this roof over my head. I can see that, you know, while I am paycheck to paycheck, I am living a very comfortable life, you know? And now I can also see that those challenges that I've been experiencing at my work, it's the coolest thing. I can see that those challenges are actually what are making my life interesting right now. That it's like kind of what my character's going through. As if life is a TV show and I'm this character, this is character development happening. I'm learning more about myself. I get to break through. I get to decide, is this really what I want to do? And how do I push past it? So this is literally how we raise our vibration to a really high place and literally start to think differently. And when you're so zoomed in, you could miss the fact that there's something else happening right here. If you just turn the camera just a little bit, there's some incredible opportunity right here for you to further advance your relationships or your career or the peace you feel in your life. Or there's this opportunity happening over here, or there's this really exciting game that your friends are playing over here, but you're not there to play it with them because you're so fixated on this one frame of everything sucks. That's the problem with our thinking, is that it limits our ability to see that there's a lot more going on. There's more to receive. Now imagine what we're going to do now together is we're going to take that focus, that camera lens, and we're actually going to focus it on the bigger picture. That you can see more clearly, that you can think more clearly, that you can feel more clearly, and you can live your life more clearly. And I've been saying this a lot in my videos lately, how we manifest our realities. It's not some super far out there thing that is impossible to understand. It's very simple. We're manifesting every day based on the decisions that we're making in our lives. Every single decision we make is creating ourselves. So what we need to do is make better decisions. What we need to do is make decisions from a place of peace and clarity and joy and love, because then those effects are going to compound over time. Our reality is going to be built with more love and peace and joy, and our future self is going to want to give who you are right now a big hug and thank you for caring enough to actually make that shift. So now what we're going to do is we're really going to anchor it into ourselves, into our physiology. I've been learning from a lot of different studies and psychology groups. It's actually amazing. Our physiology, literally within our bodies, is like a computer. And it's programmed to operate and think and respond to situations in a certain way. So what I'd like to do now is for each of us to put our hands over our heart. And what we're going to do is we're going to tune into our physiology. And we're going to anchor in this new perspective, this new realization that there's more going on than just the story you may have been telling yourself for the last few months, right? Or for the last few years, or however long. There's a bigger picture, right? So let's go ahead and put our hands over our hearts now. And we're just going to take a few breaths. Let's take the first breath in together and release it. And as we breathe in, we're actually breathing in pure, fresh energy. We're re-energizing ourselves, literally. Our physiology loves when we breathe in. And as we breathe out, ready? We're releasing old, stagnant programming that no longer serves us. And as we tune into our hearts, we anchor in this new knowing in our physiology that we can respond to the things that happen in life in totally different ways than we've been responding up to this point. That when challenges come up, we don't have to just instinctively respond as, oh God. We could respond to challenges in a, this is exciting. Something new and fresh that the universe is giving me. A new opportunity to grow, to learn, to overcome. Life is this extraordinary, huge thing that's going on. And I meet a lot of people in the awakening communities who are very zoomed in and focused on a bunch of negative things that are happening in the world. And I just wanted to say, from my perspective, that what those people are saying could potentially be true. I'm not saying that it's false, that there's these weird stuff going on. You know, I'm not saying that's false. The fact is that I don't know because I'm not there and I'm not seeing it. But what I do notice is that when we're so focused on just those negative things, we miss the fact that there's so much incredible stuff happening just right here. Like the fact that we're even alive, the fact that there's the sun, water, each other, the fact that there's so much love in our hearts that we can share with each other. And what I notice is that people who seem to be able to see that and see the incredibleness that's going on and see certain things like our society, for example, actually gives us the ability to eat whatever we want, to have the things that we need very easily. It gives us the ability to socialize, to pursue our dreams, to do art and music, right? It's not a survival situation anymore. I mean, really, there's a lot of incredible things that are being given to us. And what I see is that people who are able to appreciate that genuinely, and they see that bigger picture of how cool it is that we're even alive at all, what's interesting is that those people, they think more powerfully. They act more powerfully. They get more powerful results in their lives. And those are the people who end up over the years being the ones that are actually able to make positive changes to the system, positive changes in life that affect other generations in a great, awesome way. So what we need to do is just pull back a little bit, in my opinion, and see that where our power really is, it is within us. And we have to realize that if we want to be able to hear within us, this is the full circle moment, guys, ready? If we want to be able to hear what's being spoken within us, we need to stop being so zoomed in on this specific thought or this specific story or belief we've got. Because as soon as we stop being so zoomed in on that and we're pulled back, you will hear yourself more clearly. You will. It's inevitable because who you are is always speaking to you. Always. The power that you are is always right here, right now in this moment. Our only problem is that we're not always right here, right now, which is where who we really are is. Sometimes we're somewhere else. We're zoomed in on something over here that isn't even really relevant right now. Or maybe you do have a relevant challenge in your life that you do need to solve. Maybe there is an area of your life you do need to step up and make a change in. But the fact of the matter is you're not going to be in the empowered, powerful state to actually be the one to make a good change in your life if you can't figure out how to pull back, to just pull back, right? Now, I want to let you know that I've got an event coming up this very weekend where I'm working with a special group of people. It's like a live stream. There's a chat. We get to work together one-on-one, whole group discussion. And we're diving into a lot of things that have to do with this. We really are taking that camera and we're pulling back and we're going to discover how to reprogram our physiology, let go of these limiting beliefs, and tune into what are our real values. Like, what do we really want in our lives and how can we make actual better decisions? If you want to learn more about that event, there's still 17 seats left. And you can be one of those people if you just check the description of this video, check out those links I've got down there, and you can find more information about the event. Thank you all very much. And remember that tuning back into your power is as easy as just taking a step back and seeing the bigger picture. Maybe what you're looking at isn't a bunch of problems. Maybe what you're looking at isn't a bunch of stains on the stove. Maybe it's just, for lack of a better word, God cooking dinner in the kitchen. And you just need to pull back a little bit and see that. That maybe it's not all some crazy, super intense, horrible human experience you're having. Maybe if you just pulled back, you'd see there are some very big forces at work and they're just making dinner for themselves. And it wasn't really a mess that you were looking at. You were looking at a beautiful, loving family cooking up their meal. Who knows? Pull back and see for yourself. Thanks. Much love to you all, and I'll see you for the next video.